My fellow Americans, tonight, I need to talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Thompson will not speak to you tonight. His time is up. For years, you've asked, who is John Galt? You've asked that question in despair and resignation as factories closed, goods became scarce, jobs disappeared. Your lives are becoming more difficult as the life force of your world is draining away. You have asked that question without expecting an answer. I'm here to answer it. This is John Galt speaking. Mr. Thompson won't tell you the truth about the crisis in your world. I will. Have you noticed that as everything around you seems to decline, one thing still grows? It is the power of your rulers. None of their plans and directives have solved your problems or made your life better. The only result has been their increased control over you at the cost of your freedom. Do you know why? You gave them the power. They called for your sacrifice, and you thought it was noble. They said if you worked for yourself and your family, that you were selfish and uncaring, and they made you feel ashamed. They denounced the leaders of industry as greedy exploiters, the Ellis Wyatts, the Hank Reardons, and again, you agreed. And then you ask, why did they and others like them disappear? I took them from you. Their achievements flowed from their creative minds. Once they understood that the attempt to control their work was an attempt to control their minds, they left. The people on strike worked for themselves, for their own vision of what was possible. When they recognized the honor they deserved, they rebelled against the guilt you wanted them to feel for their success. You counted on them to keep producing, to keep thinking, even as you denounced them as selfish. I showed them they were being punished for their own virtues, and I showed them how evil that is. I made it my mission to help these heroes say no. All evil needs to win is the consent of good people. They have joined me to freely produce, trade, cooperate, and compete in a place where the rights of all are protected. Do not try to find us. Do not try to bargain for our return. Get out of our way. To everyone within the range of my voice, you now have a choice to make. If you decide to support the notion of sacrifice enforced by the state, your game is up. Your world is in a downward spiral, and you will ride it down to destruction. But if you share the values of our strike, if you believe that your life is a sacred possession for you to make the most of, if you want to live by the judgment of your own mind, not edicts from the state, then follow our lead. Do not support your own oppressors. Stop letting the system exploit you. Form your own communities on the frontiers of your crumbling world. Your rulers hold you by your endurance to carry the burdens they impose, by your generosity when you hear cries of despair, and above all, by your innocence which cannot grasp the depths of their evil. The world you are living in is the world they wanted. Leave them to it. Those who have left you are eager to build a better world, a world of freedom and opportunity, a world based on mutual respect. In that world, you will rise in the morning with the spirit you knew in childhood, the spirit of eagerness and adventure, and the confidence that the world is what it is and is there for you to discover. In that world, you will not receive alms, nor pity, nor forgiveness of sins, but honor, respect, and justice. Don't let the fire go out spark by irreplaceable spark in confusion and despair. Be sure of your path. The world you desire can be won. It exists. It is real. It is possible. It is yours.
Come on, let's go.
They're shutting down the world's food system. They're going to chip everything and build back better the food system like they want. Except it's not going to be like what I want. It's going to be the eat, poop, and die version of Build Back Better.
Well, Fritz, I wanted to bring up something real quick
Yeah,
because it
I don't want to
reminded
do all the talking.
me. So 10 years ago when me and you were talking, I remember you brought up to me Atlas Shrugged, and you told me about, Ayn Rand and the elite and how this was like their playbook or plans for the future. And I never forgot that. And I read the books. I even watched the movies that they made Hollywood. And I always thought about you. And then two years ago when COVID happened, day one, I right away started thinking about you again and Atlas Shrugged. And I was like, they're gonna start shutting down their own companies. They're gonna destroy the food stuff. So I wanted to throw that out there to you. Do you
Thank you.
think this is Atlas Shrugged or any relationships with the Atlas Shrugged?
COVID is part of the Great Reset where they're shutting things down. They're stressing the world's economies in every which way they can. And of course, the COVID didn't do the job, so they have this war. And they hinted at all this stuff with me. I interacted with the kingpins of the Illuminati, and they were hinting. They told me that there were going to be pandemics. Actually, they used the word plural, pandemic. They told me that there was going to be a world war. I mean, these were things I already knew. So it wasn't like, oh, this is something new. I already knew that they had this on their agenda. And people that have sat in on Illuminati meetings have come back and told me, Fritz, what we see happening is what they were told was going to happen in these Illuminati meetings. So we are following this apocalyptic Armageddon script that they have wanted to take us through. There's no doubt in my mind. And so that's what this horrible war in the Ukraine's all about. The food supply in many countries has been devastated. Sri Lanka's the part of Sri Lanka's problem is they tried to be PC and green and sustainable and destroyed their own economy. Yeah, these libtard ideas are radical, and if you really want to know what they're all about, it's destruction. It's bringing in a socialist world dictatorship. That's what it's all about. And you're right.